All right, welcome back to RV Knowledge Group. This is Jeff. So today we're going to go over slide out operation and some of the things that you should do prior to operating your slide out. So by the way, I don't get paid for these videos. These are just normal average Joe videos. You can hear my RV is running. It's a Thor Windsport 34R. So the reason it's running, because I had to put the jacks down. One of the first things you have to do when you're going to do a slide. Put the jacks down. I went to the Thor repair facility in Indiana, and I was told by the great guy who was repairing it, who's been there for 20 years, he says, never ever put your slide out without your rig being level, which means your jacks down. And the other thing he said is never ever leave your rig just on the jacks with your tires off the ground. My front tires, they're both fine, they always are. My driveway's a little bit sloped, so my back tires end up being off the ground. I even use just some extra 2x4s I had lying around and whatnot. And my son stole some of my wood for a project. I was a little mad. I had to scrounge up some stuff, but this will work for the time being. As long as I get stuff under my tires so that my tires are not off the ground, because as the slide comes out, it's going to shift weight to, this is the big slide on this side right here. You can see this is what they call full length slide. So it's pretty heavy. A lot of people don't like them because the motors tend to fail a little earlier on these full slides because they are so heavy. But basically, so what that's going to do is that's going to shift weight to this side of the RV. And if that tire's not on the ground, the weight can actually cause the jacks, which you can see they're not that thick of a metal, can actually cause them to snap. And when I was at the repair facility, there was an RV there. They were replacing all 4 jacks for a person because he did leave his tires off the ground, and they got some wind, and the movement caused the RV to essentially come off the jacks. They just snapped. So he had to have all 4 of them replaced. Probably not a cheap repair bill for that. So always get some blocking under your tires, whatever you can get, as long as you can make it rather secure and that weight falls on those pieces of wood rather than all the weight being on those jack pads. Another thing, I will give you a hint here because I've done this a couple times and I hate it when I do it. All right, so I'm plugged in to my garage, just a 15 amp, but I'm plugged in right now. You can see my cord runs along here. I have made the mistake before of leaving this. I put this underneath once it's jacked up to keep it, well, all the time, to keep it out of the rain as best I can. The problem is, there's my jack. I have twice now gotten this part under the jack, and I came out and I was like, oh my, it was literally sitting on top of the cord. Yeah, so avoid that. Pull it out before you go level and then put it back under when you're done. And here's another issue here. This will happen to you. If I put this down, when I put the jacks down, the tire might sit on top of the cord and could ruin my cord. It's a pretty heavy RV, not a thick wire. So just get things out of the way before you go ahead and jack up and jack down. So, so we've got the rig level, the jacks are down, while your RV is still on. Oh, geez, tripping, getting old. We then go to the slide. Now, slides, as I said, this is a full slide on this side. This side has a smaller slide, so it's not as much weight, so I don't worry so much about that. There's 2 different motors for slides. So this one doesn't have it listed, of course. I believe the Lipperts do on there. Let's see, it's not even on there on the box I got this in. By the way, this is what a slide motor looks like. All right, so these wires plug into a harness that is attached to your slide controller underneath your RV somewhere, or maybe up in a cabinet somewhere. And let me set this camera up for a minute. All right, so this is actually a Chinese knockoff of a Lippert, because the real Lipperts are about $400. This is about $100, and they're hard to find because the Chinese knockoffs are so good. It's hard to figure out which one is real. So you might be paying $400 for what you think is a real Lippert motor, and you're actually getting a Chinese knockoff that you could have gotten for $100. So this is my emergency motor. Now, when you start putting a slide out, if you hear any weird noises or the movement, I always watch both sides. I turn my head back and forth. If the movement stops on one side, stop putting your slide out. So what happened to me, one of the reasons I had to go to the Thor repair facility was the slide motor became unseated. So what happens is this little piece right here, essentially the whole motor pops out of the little thing that this is engaged in. That turns your gears, which engage the teeth on your slide, which is what turns the whole slide. This motor and the one on the other side, there's two motors, are what turns your slide. Now, these little holes here, these are when you put your motor in, when you have it seated in correctly, those little holes line up with the hole probably on the outside of your RV, which has a screw in it. That screw is basically what's holding your motor down. This motor has a lot of torque, a lot of force. It wants to turn. If this isn't turning, guess what is turning? The whole motor. All right. It doesn't stop. And I'm going to put this back on just so it doesn't get super dirty. Your slide motor does not stop working because it became unseated or disengaged or something. It wants to turn. So that's what happens. And what happens when it turns, these wires keep turning because they're hooked up to the wire harness and they keep turning, something's gonna break. And you have to stop when you hear weird noises or movement on one side of your slide stops. Do not just keep pushing the button. You might actually hear the slide motor still working, but it's not going anywhere. And all it's doing is twisting these wires up. I got lucky, mine were on top and they ended up looking kind of like that. So rather than being nice and untwisted, but they didn't break. So I was able to fix it. It's not an easy fix. I'm going to tell you, I'll show you. And there's actually a great guy on YouTube that shows you how to fix everything. But your slide motor, at least on mine, is located up behind all that nonsense there. There's not a lot of room to work. And especially, say this one, which is identical on my other side. You have to get back in there. If it's open, imagine, or if it's closed like it is now, imagine how hard that is to work on that back there. And even when it's open, it's not easy. You can only get about one hand back in there. It's very difficult to get two hands. So you're almost working blind with one hand. So try to avoid problems before they start. Now we're gonna open the slide out in just a minute. You wanna make sure that you do not have anything in the way of the slide. You do not have anything sitting down there where the slide's going to open. You do not have anything in the tracks, or they call these the teeth. This is what got damaged on my RV the last time we had a problem. The teeth were kind of ground down and all messed up, and the gear would not bite into them. It would not close the slide all the way. It made a terrible sound. I had people like 4 campsites away look over. Like 10 people were having like a dinner and they all looked over like, what the hell was that sound? So it was pretty bad. And if you hear that, once again, stop. We ended up having to take the motor was already kind of unseated. We just took the motor out and pushed it in by hand, and then I secured it with a piece of wood so it wouldn't come out down the road. But that was no fun. And kind of made a trip difficult. So always watch out for that stuff. This is the slide that we're putting out, so we're not putting out the other one. Now, another problem I've also had is, Thor in their wisdom, this bed, if it's perfectly straight, if I were to push the bottom of this bed over further, when you pull it in, that corner of that slide makes contact with the bed and kind of prevents it from coming in. So I always pull my bed towards me a little bit so that doesn't happen. I've also had, there's the infamous laundry basket here. Okay, so this laundry basket has been left. We usually leave it under the bed right here in this little space when the slide's out, and I'll show you that, but we've left that before under the bed like this, in this position. And when the slide came in, it was like, I'm not moving. And it, once again, kind of makes a noise. There's a lot of warnings that you get. You have to pay attention to the noises your slide makes and the things that it does. All right, so we are going to go to our slide out operation. First thing is going to say, Must be level with the jacks in the down position. By the way, if you don't trust your auto leveling, which I do because I just checked it, your phone, if you go to the Measure app and then you hit, it also says, it says measure and level at the bottom. That is a great level. It's very accurate. So you can always use your iPhone to help make sure that your slide is rather level. It doesn't have to be 0 degrees. 1, 2 degrees in one direction is not going to hurt. 5, 6, degrees, yes, not good. All right, so we do have that and all the driver seats and all that. So we're going to go ahead, and ours is the passenger side, which is the big green one here. And we're going to hit extend, and we're going to look and listen for any issues. I'm actually going to stand sideways because, you can see it's not a very big area right now. So I want to be able to look in both directions as I'm doing this. And then maybe, I don't know, it's hard to do for me. I have a bad neck. So maybe I'll just stay like this. All right, so here goes. And then, by the way, always hold this button down. Continue to hold this button for about 5 seconds after you think it's out. Just hold it and wait till it doesn't make any more noise. And you see that side's going out. See over there, that side's going out. You're always going to hear these little creaks and cracks because this slide probably weighs about 1,000 pounds, and things are settling as that 1,000 pounds goes out. Let's see, looking on the other side, looking good. And that sound you hear is water coming out of my retractable awning cover on my slide. All right, so we've held it down for 5 seconds. Now, the reason you hold it down for 5 seconds is because if the motors are not properly synced, this motor might shut off a little bit after that motor. Do not let the motors shut down before they're done running. Let them run all the way. There is a way, you can YouTube it, of how to sync your motors. I'm not going to go over that today. But, so you can now see, oh, look, we got a blanket in here. That could have caused trouble. I couldn't see it. So you can now see if your slide motor, if this gets stuck in the out position, it's pretty much impossible to work on that slide motor. You have to get it in a little bit. This is the one that got stuck on me, and it came out about 6 inches, and that's all the room I had to work. So I had to get in here with one hand. I had a flashlight up here. It involved a impact wrench bit to help seat that motor down a little bit. You have to get it seated properly. And a hammer, you just lightly tap on it, but you have to be able to work in these tiny little spaces when you have an RV, and it really sucks. So my suggestion, don't put yourself in that position in the first place. And the second suggestion would be, if you're having a problem with your slide, take 3 days, make an appointment at the Indiana repair facility for, whoever your manufacturer is. There's a lot of them there. I'm sure that if yours is there, they probably have a repair facility. Go there, take advantage of it. It's the best thing you'll ever do. If you have any problem, say, hey guys, I'm having this issue, and get it taken care of professionally. Fixes that you do are probably going to be kind of temporary. So yeah, get it done right, and then not have that headache down the road. All right, and I'm going to show you, by the way, that little, so here's where we keep our laundry basket when we're camping, right under here, because it's under the bed. And it was way back here one day, and I was putting the slides in, and I forgot it was there. And that slide comes to about here. And you can see that slide comes to about here, and the basket was in the way by about 4 inches. Yeah, kind of pissed me off, worried me. Thank God everything was okay. So this is why. And the blankets that were back there, you really should check. And I've been doing this a little while, and I still forgot to check that corner because I was too lazy to climb over the bed. All right, well, thanks for watching. This is Jeff from RV Knowledge Group. Subscribe to our YouTube page, same name, and our Facebook group. I just I'll post anything, hey, about dogs, RVs, things that make you laugh, whatever, links from other groups. I don't really care. It's all about helping out fellow RVers and having fun. All right, thanks for watching.